You take back any of the anti-Semitic stuff you might have said?
Black people can't be anti-Semitic. We are Jew.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tzvi Rants. Tzvi talks about stuff that no one's going to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it. Today, a reporter interviewed Kanye and asked him if he took back any of his anti-Semitic remarks about DEFCON 3 and those types of tweets, as well as anything else he might have said. And he says some interesting stuff, and, you know, I thought, oh, I'm that random Jewish guy online, I guess I'll react to this. It's only a minute long. You haven't really seen much of him outside recently, but since releasing his album, I've been seeing a bunch of him, so let's see what he says.
You take back any of the anti-Semitic stuff you might have said?
Good question.
Black people can't be anti-Semitic. We are Jew. You understand what I'm saying? We are Jew. So cool out.
Okay, let's there's a lot going on. Let's dissect that for a second. Right, that's a big argument people bring up. You know, black people are the real Semites, so therefore, you know, they can't be anti-Semitic. And listen, I'm not here to argue with you about who's the real Jew, who's the fake Jew. I do find it weird, though, that, you know, Jews have been doing their thing for thousands of years, and then a bunch of people come out of nowhere and say, actually, you guys, you're all fake and we're the real ones, which I always found kind of weird because, like, okay, let's say we are fake. Why don't you be Jewish and, like, stop bothering us? Like that, you know, that's always something I bring up and they never really answer why. But what he's saying is just kind of stupid. I mean, he's completely like disregarding the whole context and history of how the phrase anti-Semitism existed and when it was first used. It was first used in the 1800s describing Jews, specifically actually Ashkenazi Jews, because it happened in Europe. Right? That's where you're first going to find the term anti-Semitism first used. Germanism versus Judaism, you know, those types of things. Like that's where you're going to find it first being used. So like, even if you want to argue, like, okay, fine. Like, you know, you're the real Semites, fine. But you got to make a new word. Because the history of anti-Semitism was first used to describe the Ashkenaz Jews in Europe. You know, we're actually really kind. We even let Sephardi Jews use it as well. You know why? Because it's about Jewish people. It's about those practicing the Jewish religion. So when you come over and say, no, we're the real Semites, Jews are black or whatever, fine. You know, like, I'm not gonna argue about that history right now. That's for another video. But still, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic, historically was used in Europe for religious Jewish people. You know, it's sort of like taking the word butterfly and saying that it means flying butter. Like, yeah, when you dissect the word, you know, that's what it's gonna say. But this is how the word was made and this is how it was used. You know, you can't just change that all of a sudden. Feel free to make a new word, like go for it. Also, it's dumb, like, you know, you were talking about Jews, you know, like me, you know, like it's a stupid thing to say. But let's see what else he has to say.
Until you do your facts, until you really do the facts with the fake indoctrination that y'all pull into the schools and all that, you know what I'm saying? We're not following y'all rules.
I mean, just like calling DEFCON.
Okay, before we get to DEFCON start, just, I mean, I think he's saying that, like, elitist Jews are, you know, indoctrinating in school, like, what kids are supposed to learn and think or whatever. The only context I could think from this is he's saying that we're indoctrinating the youth to think that I'm Jewish and not black people. That's the only thing I could get from that, because it's a very broad thing to say. I mean, we could agree that school is indoctrinating to a certain extent, but like you're saying, you're making it seem like it's Jews doing that, and you know, you're not calling out any individuals. You're just saying Jews, and that has a harmful effect on a lot of people, which is why a lot of people could get upset by that.
Following y'all rules.
I mean, just like calling DEFCON on Jews, and that's like, do you take back any of that sort of more extreme stuff?
You know what? For all the kids that love me, all the Jewish kids that love me, I'm sorry if y'all had to hear a grown-up conversation with us screaming at each other.
I mean, at least he apologized to, I guess, Jewish kids that listen to him. What does he mean exactly by a grown-up conversation? That doesn't seem, you know, too mature. I wouldn't call myself a fully grown-up individual, but, you know, that doesn't seem like a conversation grown-ups are usually having. Usually you sit down with the people you're mad at and have discussion with them, try to resolve something. He went after all the Jews, you know, instead of calling out individual people or even individual Jews. He, you know, if he said, I want to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish businessmen, you know, at least like some specification, fine, but like you said all the Jews, you know, and that's where the issue is gonna start.
But we got to a point where something needed to happen. Something needed to be said. Somebody needed to say something. Now, if you're in an argument with somebody, you're not gonna say everything the right way. But it got to a point where y'all ain't gonna just keep running, start calling me bizarre and press for all these years. I got to a point, how many more times y'all gonna call me crazy?
I mean, listen, man, you got a metal bar in your mouth. You know, you replaced your teeth with metal. You know, like you sound like McLovin. People are gonna think you're crazy. And when you tweet something in the middle of the night with a bunch of misspellings and you're saying you want to go DEFCON 3 like on the Jews, like I can understand if there's select Jewish businessmen that you're mad at. I don't know what Jewish has to do with it. But I could understand if there's a frustration with the people that you work with. But I don't see how you could justify the reaction. You know, you're going after each and every Jewish person when you say something like that. I could get being angry, you know, anger building up over the years, you know, getting, you know, abused by the music industry. But once again, like, there's no justification to be calling out all Jews when you say that. Now, if you specified that, it could have, you know, made a difference. It still wouldn't be good to say that they're Jewish because, you know, them being Jewish has nothing to do with it, as well as the fact that, I mean, none of these guys in Hollywood are actually religious like me. And when you say something like that, what are people thinking of? They're thinking of religious guys that look like me who actually have nothing to do with that, right? That's where the harm starts. When you say something like that, that's when people come in my comment section and start saying Kanye was right. And that's an actual thing that happens. You know, instead of calling out a whole entire group of people, and majority of them have nothing to do with this, like, call out individuals. Why blame a religion, right? Lex Friedman said on the podcast with him, when you speak in groups, it breeds hate. When you call out individuals, it solves problems.
How many more times are you gonna give me fake medication that makes me fat off of a misdiagnosis when I'm really have slight signs of autism from the car accident? But then y'all gave me, you say, whatever, just give him that bipolar medication. Y'all try to kill the superheroes.
I'll say it like this. I mean, if he stopped taking the medication, which is, you know, what he's implying, I mean, he does seem a little more crazy than usual. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying he should take or shouldn't take anything. But yeah, we think you're crazy because, like, you're saying crazy stuff. And then, like, you're trying to pretend that, oh, it wasn't my fault. It was all of the Jews' fault. All of them, actually. That's why I said Jews, because it's all of the Jews. And that caused a lot of your diehard followers to say very disappointing things to the Jewish community, including myself. Once again, I understand that you're mad at the music industry, but why not call out the music industry? The names, like, you haven't said a single name since this started. You're only just saying the Jews. Like, that's pretty unfair to me, bruh. Like, it's kind of a selfish thing to do. It's actually very stupid. You know, it's actually bullshit. It's bullshit. That's what it is. I mean, I'm getting kind of mad from this. I'm like, when I speak about it out loud, I realize how stupid it is, right? A few guys in Hollywood screw you over. I guess they happen to be Jewish, and because of that, you're just gonna call out the entire Jewish, like, it's so stupid. But nothing good came out of that. Only harm came from that, and I thought this was a man of love. And, you know, there's so many people out there saying he's right, he has a point, you think he's crazy, and yet, but he looks crazy, bro. Look at it, like, he replaced his teeth with metal, bro. Like, I don't know what else to say. And what's funny is this apology is actually different than the one that he tweeted, which was a tweet that was made in Hebrew, which was kind of interesting, you know, apologizing for that whole thing. Then he deleted it on his Instagram, which is kind of weird. And now he's here, like, rewording it, saying he apologizes to the little Jewish kids that listen to his music that might have got affected by it because it was a grown-up conversation and it was hard for the little Jewish kids to understand, even though it sounds like you were the one having a little kid conversation and all the grown-ups were like, what are you, that's, you know, a very mean thing to say. And then, like, you acted all surprised when everyone got mad at you.
But we here, we alive.
We here, we alive. That's always what, like, those undercover Nazis say, you know? Like, they leave, like, those initials in comments so that they don't get banned, but it shows that they're there or whatever. I'm not calling him a Nazi. I'm pointing fun at the fact that that's usually what Nazis say when they're hiding in public and want other Nazis to know that they're there. Now, I don't think that he wants to kill Jews or the Jewish race. I do think he's bipolar because, like, he's all over the place, bro. Like this right here is kind of interesting. There's a tweet. This guy said, I want to take Dove out of the group chat with Kanye, who I believe is involved in some business thing. And Kanye said, when I add him, don't take it out. It's insane. I stand by my Jewish brother. So, like, you know, he's going back and forth. Like, what's up? Like, you stand by a Jewish brother maybe because he helps you. Like, you like the Jews that help you out, but you don't like the Jews that don't help you out, but you're going to call out all the Jews, including your Jewish brother. So when you say DEFCON 3, you know, you're being mean to your Jewish brother. You know, this is why people, you know, might think that you're slightly bipolar, a little schizophrenic. Like, you know, you're going back and forth here. That's all I gotta say to that. The whole thing's confusing. You know, first you apologize, then you take it back, then you, like, specify what the apology meant, then you try to gaslight everybody and say, oh no, this is, we're trying to have a mature conversation. Which is why I said DEFCON 3. I was being mature. As grown-ups, little kids can't understand what that means. But I mean, Vultures was pretty good, so if you watched to the end, if you could subscribe and like the video, I'd appreciate that. And let me know what you think of this whole situation down below. I'm curious what you guys think. Literally, God bless.